Hey, love bugs, welcome to Love Grind. I'm so glad that you tuned in this week. No, I love that you tuned in this week. Thanks for joining us tonight on Love Grind. I'm Ebony, your host, and tonight we're going to talk about men and love addiction, okay, and how it differs from women, all right? I just want to let you know, please be visiting Facebook Love Grind or Instagram Love Grind so you can see all the great content we have up there. Valentine's Day is approaching, and yes, I'm single, and if you guys are single out there, just know loving yourself first is important. Buy yourself some chocolate, and maybe next year, okay? Who knows? But just love yourself and just celebrate singleness, okay? It's okay. Another thing I want to let you guys know is I got a great new MacBook, and I'm so excited about it. It's a wonderful machine, and it makes my podcast a lot easier to do, okay? So let's get right into it, love bugs, okay? Men and love addiction. Yes, male love addicts are common. I'm getting all of my information from a site called loveaddictionhelp.com if you would like to go over there and read some more content. And one quick disclaimer, I am not a licensed therapist, love bugs. All the tips and advice I give you are just that. So if you're an addict or you know an addict, please reach out for some help. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? Everybody needs a little therapy, I think. All right, if you're a man, hey fellas, for a reason, maybe you're here because you're having relationship difficulties or you're dealing with a relationship loss, and you and your identity yourself are having characteristics in love addiction. Many mental health care professionals make a popular assumption that love addiction is primarily a woman's issue, while men are primarily the avoidant addicts. Distant, unemotional, avoidant. Shit, I thought so, but we all here to learn something new, right? The assumption is women become addicts because of the abandonment they experience as children, and therefore carry this to their adulthood and become love addicts. Okay? With all due respect, I disagree, love bugs. There's absolutely no research statistics that show this fact. Although many women fall into love addiction, men also are just as likely to suffer from love addiction. Furthermore, women are just as likely to be avoidants in relationships. We all know those roles switch. There's not a blueprint to how people are. I know a lot of women who are avoidants, and some men too, and vice versa. Okay, so we can't stereotype, can't judge a book by their cover. Men are just as likely to suffer from love addiction as women. I will give you an analogy about this gender factor of love addiction. It relates to depression, okay? In psychological research on depression, most studies conclude that women are 2 to 4 times more likely to have depression than men. That's another falsity. In this book, there's a book, you guys, that I want you to check out. It's called I Don't Want to Talk About It, Overcoming the Secret Legacy of Male Depression. It's by a man named Terrence Real, okay? He's a really good author, and he has a lot of wonderful insight. So check that book out. It's called I Don't Want to Talk About It. It explains male depression, and it's expressed differently than depression in women. And he just lets us know how it's different. You know, men and women are different. And so it's going to be different for us to be depressed and different from them to be depressed. Men tend to hide their condition, thinking it unmanly and weak to show feelings of emotional distress and depression. We all know those macho guys. So when researchers are interviewing and doing research, women are more likely to express the truth and let it all out, love bugs. But men, they're like, hell no, I'm not telling my business. Men are much unlikely to be honest, okay, because they think it's unmanly. Men deal with internal stress and suffering using certain behaviors as defenses as men in love addiction do. And it's a new day, you know, we want our man to express his feelings and his stress. Maybe not want you crying all over the place, but we definitely don't want you to keep it inside. You gotta let it out, you know? Men are much more likely to deal with internal stress and suffering, way different than women. Women are much more likely to admit it when they have problems or emotional stresses. That's true. I'll break out and cry almost anywhere. You know, I used to ask my ex all the time, do you ever feel like crying? I mean, you got to go kill the spiders and check for the robbers and you got to make the bread. And that's a lot of pressure. And he said, no, he just doesn't want to feel like crying. But I wonder if that's really the answer or if they really do want to cry. I mean, once in a while, it's okay. In front of me, I mean, let it out. That's what I think. Hope you guys agree. Women tend to reach out for help easier when in crisis. They turn to close friends, families, counselors, and they do. Generally, this is what they have been taught to do in society since they were small. They learn how to suck it up and not express their pain. Men don't typically grow up with this message in our society. We grow up to be men and to be closed with our feelings and our pain. Or if you're open with it, they're considered weak. As a result, men are much less likely to open up when personal issues or life crises arise. If men do express their issues, their pain, or their feelings, what's going to happen? With experience, they feel ashamed, embarrassed, or yes, weak. Men will often feel or say, come on, suck it up, get over it. If a male friend or family member is vulnerable or opens up emotionally, and the conversation would probably last 5 minutes, men are left in isolation and on their own to deal with internal distress, and this, my friends, is very unhealthy. And it sure is. Does that mean men don't have feelings, pain, suffering, longing for connection as women do? No, I don't think so, love bugs. Of course it does. They're all human. We're human. What is men's role in society? How do men usually cope? They cope with their pain and their emotions by isolation or addictions like self-sabotaging things, like being in relationships and sex and alcohol and drugs. That's how they learn how to do their inner selves. Okay, here's a few examples of vulnerable emotions, distress, or emotional pain. Suicide is the 8th leading cause of death in men. Alcoholics, 3 times more alcoholic rate men than women. Porn, gambling, sex, work, you name the addiction, all have much higher rates in men. Murder, domestic violence, physical, emotional, and psychological abuse, violence, disease, much higher in men. Wow, I didn't know that. Like oil leaking from an engine, the internal distress comes out. There's no way around it. These examples can be seen as the oil spilling out of a leaking engine. The message here, men, is to be men, you have to pay a high price for it. But the real truth is, love bugs, that being a real man, allowing themselves to have feelings, to not be judged as good or bad, is really showing human strength. Hiding from themselves and denying their emotions, well, now that's being a punk ass. So often men don't reach out and they don't get help. Women are much more likely to do so. But men also have a love addiction, and love addiction is like any other addiction. Men don't need to stuff their pain, feelings, who they are as human beings any longer. Men can now choose to destroy the lie and realize denying the fear to be who we are is what strength is all about. The truth is, being a real man and being vulnerable is what strength is. It's what being a secure individual is all about. Hiding the authentic self is the real weakness and harms well-being. Okay, many men are finally starting to realize this and are reaching out to heal, recover, and reconnect with themselves. Yay, fellas. Men are now beginning to choose to love who they are, okay, as human beings, and they are choosing to end the abandonment and neglect of self, and they're choosing a life of abundance. So if you're a man listening to this, or you're going to get on the website and read some of this, just know that is a new day, okay? And we don't give a fuck if you let it out. Just let it out, okay? You can't keep it in and hold it in all the time. Everybody gets stressed out, and this world is full of stress. Doesn't mean we want you blubbering all over the house all the time. No, it does mean we want you to let it out. You can't hold that shit in all the time. And you know, as women, we don't. At least I don't. I'm letting it out. So you can't hold it in. That's part of self-care and self-love. And that's part of recovery, is letting your emotions be shown, embracing them, dealing with them, and then moving on. So I just want you guys to know that. I love you, fellas, and I'm here for you, okay? Please treat each other well and make decisions with your heart. And until next time, love bugs, I'm out.